mynews.studio.
Beneath Paris's famous boulevards, the Seine River is quietly powering what's become a citywide air conditioning system. Could something like this work in other cities?
It's November 2nd, 2025. Let's start at the beginning. Paris has transformed the Seine into the largest urban cooling network in Europe. Over 800 buildings, the Louvre, hospitals, even the French Parliament, are cooled with water piped straight from the river, running through more than 100 kilometers of underground pipes. Why use water instead of air for cooling?
Good question. Water is about 800 times denser than air, so it can store and move heat far more efficiently. This network, called Fraîcheur de Paris, has actually been operating since the early 1990s. The process is fairly straightforward. Water from the Seine is filtered, cooled in underground stations, some as deep as 40 meters, and then pumped into buildings. The cooled water circulates in a closed loop, absorbs heat from inside, and then returns to be cooled again.
So, it's not just about efficiency. The whole network runs on renewable electricity since 2013 and reached carbon neutrality in 2018. Plus, it uses 90% fewer refrigerant gases compared to regular air conditioning. That's pretty significant, given how much energy regular cooling systems consume.
Exactly. Take the Louvre, for instance. To keep its art safe, it needs 12 megawatts of cooling power. That's about 12 times what a typical building would need. With this system, most of the operating cost is just the energy to pump the water. There's hardly any emissions and no harmful refrigerants involved.
There's another angle here, the urban heat island effect. Traditional air conditioning dumps heat out onto city streets, which just makes cities hotter. Paris's system sends the heat back into the river instead, so it actually helps lower local temperatures. Isn't that tackling two problems at once?
Yes, that's right. And there's also the impact on the power grid. Because the system uses less electricity during heat waves, Paris avoids putting too much strain on its grid. That's becoming especially important as summers in Europe get hotter and demand for cooling spikes.
Let's talk about what's next. Paris plans to triple the network by 2042, reaching 250 kilometers of pipes and 3,000 buildings. They're even repurposing old telecom tunnels to install new pipes so they don't have to dig up busy streets. That's a smart approach considering how much history and existing infrastructure there is underground.
And for the first time, residential buildings are joining the network. In neighborhoods like the 15th and 17th arrondissements, some property owners have started connecting their buildings to the system. Residents are saying they stay cooler during heat waves, use less energy, and see lower bills. Does this suggest a shift away from individual air conditioners?
Possibly. Last year's Olympics really showed off what the network can do. Venues like the Grand Palais stayed cool with minimal energy use. Now, cities around the world are paying attention. But is this something every city could copy?
That's the tricky part. You need a large, reliable water source, like the Seine. Not every city has that. Some places might turn to geothermal energy or look for other ways to store and move heat. And in Paris, expanding the network is slow work. Every new pipe has to be checked for archaeological finds underground. So it's a gradual process, but the advantages are clear.
And it fits into a larger plan for Paris. They've restored the Seine for swimming, built huge rainwater reservoirs, and connected thousands of homes to modernized sewers. All these steps are part of a bigger climate adaptation strategy.
So, the main question isn't whether the Seine cooling network works. The results are well documented. The real question is, how quickly can other cities adapt this idea to their own geography? Are we seeing the future of urban climate adaptation?
Paris shows what's possible when infrastructure is reimagined for resilience and comfort. The real challenge for other cities will be finding the right resources and the determination to invest.
Which brings us full circle. Could your city be next to use a river, a lake, or even the ground itself as part of its climate strategy? Thanks for joining us.
Today we explored how Paris's Seine-powered cooling system works, its environmental benefits, expansion plans, and what it could mean for cities facing more extreme climates.
Thanks for listening. This episode was brought to you by mynews.studio. You can try it now for free.